Our 27th episode finds us looking at the 8th offering by Nintendo of their widescreen series of Game & Watches. Called Turtle Bridge, the game heralds several new and as yet previously unused tweaks and innovations. However, before we focus on today's Game & Watch, I'd like to answer our last episode's picture quiz we here on this channel like to call, What in the World? It was the Super Nintendo Entertainment System redesign from 1997. This compact console was designated the 101 model. Did you know this one? Stay tuned to see a complete episode on this console in due course. Now back to today's headliner, the Game & Watch called Turtle Bridge. Issued February 1st, 1982, this game sold somewhere between 250 to 500,000 units. Being the first Game & Watch sold in the year 1982, it shook up the visual standard that previous units established. Silver, and more commonly gold faceplates were considered the norm. Then we see the first ever painted faceplate, in amazing black with silver piping and bright red buttons. Now with the advantage of hindsight, I'd say that color scheme looks mighty familiar. Don't you agree? Except this handheld game console was issued over 3 years before we saw the NES. I'm confident to say that this Game & Watch must have heavily influenced the design coloring of the much later NES by Nintendo's research and development team. But the innovation doesn't stop there. This unit's screen was amazing and really popped with bright and vibrant colors. This achievement was thanks to the first full-screen colorization seen on any Game & Watch. And this accomplishment was done by blending not one, but two color foils together. These are shown here to underscore the major leap forward that came with Turtle Bridge. Given the production code of TL-28, likely standing for turtle, and the last digit, the number 8, underscoring the 8th model in this, the widescreen range. Boasting not only being a two-option games console, but also having the practicality of being both a clock with an alarm function. This system offered a bedside display of imaginary gameplay while in its standby time or rest mode, adding a lot of value-added functionality. In Game Mode A, we find what is described in the instructions booklet as a tourist attempting to cross a lake. We also see two banks on each shore, one to the left, one to the right. The narrative in the game has the tourist responsible for carrying large and heavy luggage from the left shore to the right bank, where hopefully another tourist waits to receive it. The oddity here is the structure of the bridge itself. As the game's title suggests, it's made up of 5 floating turtles. The tourist therefore must jump on each turtle's back in turn to traverse the lake successfully. Scoring and accounting for points in this game is quite difficult to understand at first. The easiest part to understand is the 3 points you receive from handing over the luggage to the tourist on the right shore. At the return trip to the left bank that can seem confusing, the points are awarded based upon the speed in which you are able to return to pick up another piece of luggage. The minimum points you'll receive is 2. However, the faster your return is, the more points you'll receive. It can be as high as an additional 9 points. Doing the math, there's a maximum total of 12 points for a super fast drop-off and collection. If however you fall in the water 3 times, the game will be over. In Game Mode B we see everything is identical to Game Mode A, with a single exception. That exception is the center turtle, which was previously static. It will now dive to catch fish just like all the other turtles did in Games Mode A. In the first edition of this game, an error leaflet had to be enclosed, which cautioned players of a failing in that version's game's instructions booklet. This was later rectified in all subsequent versions. Boasting an improved high score capability in this game, Turtle Bridge can register 9,999 points. However, the normal bonuses at the 100-point mark still occurs. This is where the speed slows, or in this actual game, that slowing translates to mean less fish for a short period, and therefore no diving turtles. At 200 and 500 points, a player will have any lost lives restored. If however they have no lost lives to restore at this point, an additional bonus is awarded with much fanfare. They enter into what's known as chance time. Chance time lasts between 20 and 40 seconds. In this bonus feature, no fish will be present at all, no turtles will dive, so in reality it's just a free-for-all on getting as many points as you can. Some other nuances that will help understand gameplay is the fact that once the tourists leave the left shore with some luggage, they will not be allowed to climb back up on that bank until the luggage is delivered. As the score increases, more fish will appear and therefore more turtles will begin to dive down into the water to catch them. Fish always move at the same speed and are therefore predictable. If the tourist avatar does not leave the left shore within 8 seconds, the game automatically pushes them in the water. And as previously mentioned, the middle turtle does not dive at all in Game Mode A. However, to prevent cheating, if a player stays on the center turtle for more than 2 minutes in Game Mode A, it will sink. So back to some gameplay. Focusing back at the game shown here, we see a score of 31. Which is the standard 3 points for delivering to the right shore. The tourist is able to return quite quickly and receives another additional 6 points. But what's interesting on their return is the fact no one is waiting to receive the luggage. This is yet another twist in the difficulty levels. The receiving tourist on the right bank is only randomly there. It is possible to zigzag back and forth on the backs of the turtles, however the game is much harder than it might appear here. From a purely reviewing person's point of view, and a somewhat fresh pair of eyes sort of thingy. It does seem like Nintendo favored the ocean or at least a water environment when they came up with their ideas for their themed games for this era. There was Parachute of course. Then Octopus, followed by Popeye, then today's game, an aquatic themed collection for sure. As we mentioned with Game Mode A. After 3 misses, or dunks in the lake, the game will end. If you've managed to achieve a high score for the option you're playing, Mode A or B, it will be retained until the ACL button is reset, or the game's batteries expire or the batteries are removed. Then sadly all the previously stored scores are lost. The caution statement in the instructions booklet is consistent with previous editions on such subjects as temperature tolerance, rough handling and maintenance. Finishing up with the specifications, offering info on clock accuracy, expected battery life and preferred working temperature. Here we get the brief chance to admire the pristine look that would have been offered to you had you purchased a brand new unit back in 1982. That brand new unit would have shipped to your local retail store in one of these cartons, a box we collectors call a shipper. There's an estimated 200 to 500 Bosch versions of this game, but these were only released through a promotion. A blue cased version was an Argentina variant. A video poche version was released in a neon green trimmed box to service both Belgium and France. The Japanese variant is usually classed as the standard box version. The CGL version was how the distributors for Great Britain packaged and branded their units. And TL-28 did a similar thing but for the French market. Sadly Nintendo of America did not, it appears, issue a pocket-size version. They usually produce the most wonderful box art of all distributors. However several fan versions of what might have been posted online. The same thing seems to be true of Futuretronics, the distributors for Australia. If you've seen one then please let me know in the comments below. Here we see a wonderful Japanese advertising poster for 6 of the widescreen Game & Watches. Cameos for today's game are super rare, however WarioWare's game, DIY for the DS had a Super 9-volt minigame installed as a homage to today's star of our show. The only other rerun that I know of, was covered in the Game & Watch Gallery 3, for the Game Boy Color system. The cartridge had a menu of 5 Game & Watches to choose from, Turtle Bridge being the third on the list. Each of the 5 options shown previously offered either a classic, or modern version of each game. The classic was a strict revisit, while the modern version openly changed characters, locations and in-game dynamics. However coming up next is our picture quiz, which we call What in the World? In it I'd challenge you to guess what Nintendo item you're looking at, and answer in the comments section below. So feel free to like us, follow us, subscribe and turn on that notification bell. Finally I'd like to say thank you for watching, see you all shortly for what's sure to be another episode full of discovery.